it, and then I shared my screen and it worked when I showed you, but it never did after that.
Oh,
Still not working. I don't know what's wrong with it.
so your model was crashing or was showing no
No, nothing happened. I like pushed the button and then everything stayed the same.
because when you go into quick mode, you won't see your vehicles moving through your network, right? Like
Yeah,
maybe it's working and you just don't know it. So
but there was like tables coming up when you were doing it. Like we can see the queues and
so if you have the right spreadsheet up, it should populate. So let me just recap very quickly.
yeah, if you can just go through it fast.
Yeah, and because maybe you had your parameters wrong. Let me show you. Okay, so if you have your Vissim model, if you just want to put your mic on mute, just because I have an echo. Okay, thank you. So for simulation parameters, again, everyone should have their parameters to 3,900 seconds. And again, the reason we're doing that is because we're going to analyze an hour, which is 3,600 seconds, but we want the model to warm up for 300 seconds before we actually start analyzing the model. So we want the traffic to enter the network and run for 300 seconds or 5 minutes. And then after that 300 seconds, we want to start analysis and run that for 60 minutes or 3,600 seconds. So the total simulation will actually run for 3,900 seconds. We'll have, you can leave this should be defaulted to 10 and 42. This is just basically the resolution of the simulation. The more time steps you have, the more, representative your simulation is of real world conditions, but it could slow down your computer. So 10 time steps is the default. Number of runs, this should be 10. So that's like a very common thing that people do is they run it for 10, they do 10 runs, and then we're going to average out the results from each run. So, and we will have to average it ourselves. When all the results are populated in the spreadsheet at the bottom of Vissim, we're going to copy and paste it into Excel, and we're going to average out the results from each run to get the value we want. Simulation speed, it just should default to 1. That's fine. And then for evaluation, so now the simulation is running, and then now you have to set, okay, what does it do? How does it evaluate the simulation? In the first tab, I would check off the middle bullet here of current multi-run only. So it's going to keep the results. So we're going to do a multi-run. So we're going to do 10 runs, and it's going to keep the results in your spreadsheet of all 10 runs. Then if you rerun the whole simulation again, it's going to delete those 10 runs and create new runs in the spreadsheet. So you're basically, it's going to override, right? Otherwise, if you didn't have that checked and you had this, the spreadsheet could get quite big if you keep stopping and starting your simulation and redoing things, and you might get a little confused when you start to transfer that data over to Excel. So for our purposes, we just want to keep it simple. So we just do that middle bullet of the current multi-run only. And then lastly, for result attributes, the only things that we're going to be using to collect data in our network is the nodes and the queue counters. So we've already input those into our network. And like I've already said, the analysis is actually going to start 300 seconds into the simulation, so at the 300th second. And it's going to go until the end of the simulation, which is the 3,900th second. And we're going to break it down into 5-minute intervals, so 300 seconds. So basically what that means, what it's going to look like when it goes into the spreadsheet is that you're going to have your first simulation. And for that first simulation, all the data is going to be averaged out into 5-minute intervals, right? And then in your second simulation, again, it's going to have everything's going to be into 5-minute intervals, right? And it's going to do that for every simulation. For all 10 simulations, the data will be broken down into 5-minute intervals. And again, you don't have to do it that way, but that's a very common way to break it down. And then you can play your 2D simulation. So you press play. Let me just make sure. Yeah, I'm in the AM peak hour, so I'm going to press play. So you have to give it a sec sometimes, depending on how small or large your volumes are. It can take a few minutes for the vehicles to enter the network. And you could also press quick mode. So you can see the volumes, the vehicles moving in my network now. But if I just press and let go of quick mode, they disappear. It's running very quickly. And you can see time going by down at the bottom here very fast. And then if I press quick mode again, so sorry, before I press it, it's highlighted yellow, so it means it's on quick mode. If I press it again, it's now off, and now we're further into the model. And down at the bottom, you can see how it says simulation run 1, and then in brackets 10. So right now we're in simulation 1 out of 10, right? And I believe this is the time, yeah, simulation time. So that should get up to 3,900 seconds. So I'll go quick mode. It's going fast. It'll go up to 3,900 seconds, and then it'll go back to 0. And then it'll flip the run from 1 to 2. So if you just watch. So you can see it did that. So now we're in run 2. So it's going to go all the way to 10 runs, right? What we can also do is we can go into 3D mode. So that's something that wasn't brought up in last week's class. So I don't know if I can, you know what, I'm going to stop the simulation before I go into 3D mode. Quick mode should be off. Okay. Yeah, so the simulation is stopped. So 3D graphic parameters are here. I don't think there's really anything we need to talk about in there. Maybe we'll see. And then 2D/3D. So right now, so you can see there's that cube outline. That's for 3D mode. There's an X, meaning we're not in 3D mode. If I click it, we're now in 3D mode. So you can see the camera position changes. In 2D, your aerial, so bird's eye view. And then in 3D, it's more of an angle. And we're in 3D. And there's also different ways to pan around. So like you have your wheel and your mouse. Again, I know some of you might be using a laptop. I'm not sure. You're gonna have to figure that out. But if on your wheel and your mouse, if you click it and hold it, this will move you around. If you, oops, just give it a sec. If you zoom in and out with the wheel on your mouse, so scroll in and out, you can see go in and out. The thing you have to watch with some of your computers, because we're in 3D mode, things get really clunky and slow. So some of you may crash it. So just be aware of that. So it's a good habit before you go into 3D mode, maybe press save if you don't want to lose stuff in case it crashes, especially when it starts to run. So this will zoom you in and out. And then also, I think if you press and hold control, yeah, if you press and hold control, and while I'm holding control, I'm going to press the wheel in and go up and down. It kind of zooms in like that. And let me try one other thing. Yeah, and if you press and hold Alt and then press the wheel in, you can kind of do stuff like this, right? So again, essentially you're really using the wheel on your mouse, either scrolling in or scrolling out. You're either pressing and holding the mouse, and you can do it while pressing and holding control, pressing and holding Alt. So there's a lot of different things you can do. And before you go off and do it, let me just run the simulation. So we're in 3D mode. It's the same as before. You just press play. And you can also go into quick mode as well. So I'll go into quick mode a little bit. So I'm going to let it run. And then I'll stop. And there you got the cars. You'll notice it'll get more chunky the closer zoomed in you are of 3D. So some people's computers may crash. You can see I can move around, go up and down. So feel free to give it a whirl on your Vissim models. Run the 3D mode, see if you can do it. Let me know if you have any problems.
Adam, if there is
Yes.
a possibility of crashing, why do we need to convert into 3D?
It's really just for presentation purposes. So if you have a meeting with a client or you have a meeting with anybody and you want to show them your Vissim model, it's sometimes good to show them things in 3D.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just a visual thing. If you have a like a public presentation, sometimes you can, I've seen people bring their, so save a recording, because you can save recordings in this of your 3D simulation, and then present it at a presentation to show people how, you know, a proposed intersection or roundabout will work. And people like to see it in 3D. Something you always have to remember when you guys start working after you graduate is, you know, most people are not traffic engineers or transportation planners or technologists or whatever. They don't see things the way we see them. Like, we pick up on things very quickly. We know what we're looking at. Like, to be honest, you may go to meetings and you will present a image or a map to people and they can't even figure out where north is, even if you have a north arrow. Or if you say things like, oh, the eastbound left, for them that doesn't mean anything. They struggle with that. So we try to simplify things as much as possible and try to put it into layman's terms. So this is just one tool to do that, is for presentations.
Hey, Adam.
Yes.
My play button for the simulation is grayed out
Now,
in 3D.
are you in? Okay, so like you can see, I'm in 3D right now. It's grayed out because I'm running it.
Yep.
Right. So you haven't run it. Are you in AM or PM peak hour?
I believe I am in just the base network.
I think you should get into AM or PM.
Okay.
Try that. Yeah. Because when you're in a base network, you can't run your simulation because there's no volumes. Like, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Right. So try that.
Thank you.
Just give you guys a few more minutes to play around with that and check it out. Can somebody tell me, as far as the calendar goes for December, when, just so I want to make sure I don't have it wrong, when do classes officially end?
December 18th.
December 18th. Okay, just let me write that down. I don't want to make the same mistake I did with you guys.
I think all of us are waiting for it, so we all know it.
Yeah.
But December 18th is our last test, I think, not classes.
December 11th is the last class.
So the 11th is like when that week is your last week of classes, and then 18th, that week with the 18th, you may still have some tests and things like that.
Yes, correct.
Okay, I want to make sure I coincide with that. So just one second. Okay, I think we're good. You know, today is November the 11th, so we're doing this 3D simulation, and we'll probably get into, I don't know, we'll see how much we get into Excel. We probably will. Then the 18th, which is next Wednesday, we'll just wrap up Excel analysis. And then the 25th, which is the Wednesday after that, November 25th, is a class basically dedicated to troubleshooting your model, because your assignment number 2 will be due the week after that, as well as a work period to ask for any assistance with your final project, which is the roundabout over at the S Bend on Bimbrook Road. And again, I believe it's posted the syllabus for the final project. It basically lists the kind of things I'm looking for, and we can talk more about it. Essentially, I believe there's a memo component to that too. So you have to kind of have like a cover letter or a memo attached to the results. So we can talk about that. Honestly, for you guys to prepare a memo for the final project, like it's not a report, it's like a memo, like a 1 or 2 page paper. So a lot of you could probably do it during that class time if your model is done for the final project. And then December 2nd was the last class before the final projects are due. And again, that's just for ask any questions or anything like that. And then the December 9th is just a slot scheduled for similar to I did before for people who had issues with assignment 1. A bunch of you I asked to join that class because I was having issues opening your files and whatnot. There were some issues that I couldn't market them. But most of you did not have to go to that class. So that's December 9th. And then December 16th is the same type of class, but for the final projects. So by the 16th, I should have opened up everyone's final projects. And for anybody who I'm having issues and I can't mark them and whatnot, I'm going to ask you to log in on that class, and I can you know walk you through it, or you can help me figure out what I'm doing wrong, why I can't see your model, things like that. So we're going to be fine. So. Okay. So that's how you play your 3D simulation. And like I said, you can record or you can take snapshots. So here's this camera button is for screenshots. So that's very useful because sometimes, you know, you're typing up a report and you want to take a screenshot. So you can press that and you can export it as a JPEG or something like that of the image you're looking at. And then there's also the record function, which to be honest is eluding me. Oh yeah, record AVIs. That's where it is. So it's up here. Where am I? I'm missing something. Presentation. Yeah, record AVIs. You can set camera positions. Oh, here we go. Record animations. No, I know, but I thought there was a menu. 1 second. Camera positions. I think I have to set up a camera position first. That's what it is, and then you can. So you don't have to do this, but just for my own benefit, because it's been about a year since I've had to make recordings. I think you do it here. You know what? I'll take a look at it after if we have extra time after class. There's a way to do it. Okay, so I'm going to take 3D mode off. It's kind of locked up a bit. 1 second. I'm actually going to turn the simulation off. And some other things to consider, and it might not be useful for this network, but it might actually be useful for your roundabout over at the S-bend over here, is for your final project, is how to insert some landscaping. So that's a common thing. You know, there's a lot of things you could do in Vissim as far as inserting different colors and objects in your model, but landscaping is a common one because, for example, you may draw a roundabout right here in your Vissim model, but then inside the roundabout, you just have the aerial, which shows this intersection. It just doesn't look good. You may want to fill in that center circle of the roundabout with like a green island. So what you could do is in your base network, I'll show you how to insert this stuff, and it's quite easy. So in your base network, you go to network objects. So it's called areas. So I've already used it recently. So it's called circle, but there can be polygon, rectangle, circle. So I have circle, and mine is green because I set it to that before class. But yours may not be green. It may be see, depends on your drawing mode. So if your drawing mode is something like use color scheme. Okay, I don't want this. It depends where this is set. So it could be display types. So it's hatched out. So it's not applicable. So fill color is hatched out. but you could change it to use constant colors, and then a fill color is green. So for every circle that I insert into my model, the fill color will always be green, right? It's just a very basic rule. And you can change the color if you click on it. I can change the shade of green. I can darken it up a bit, you know, I can something like that, or I don't know. And then I come out here, so you can see it's darker. So, and then the way to insert the circle is essentially, so what I'm going to do is you're going to press and hold Alt, and then with the right button on your mouse, you just click and drag, right? And there it is. You can just press OK, and then you can manipulate it, right? And you would put that in the middle of your roundabout, right? So, for example, elsewhere in our corridor, over here we have a roundabout. Now I don't need to do one here because it already has a green island, but say it didn't, right? I would do something like this. Maybe drag it a little bigger, stuff like that, right? And then for a polygon, so where you would use a polygon is for like medians. So like I would do polygon, and then what you do is press and hold Alt, and then maybe I'll start over here. Press and hold Alt, and then do a right click. So now I'm not clicking anything. I'm still pressing and holding Alt, but then I would do like a left click, left click, left click, you know, left click, something like this, right? There's ways to make it look nice if you really take your time. And then you're just making a polygon, just a shape. And then double left click when you're done. And then you don't have to really change any of this. There's reasons people change the stuff here. So display type. So right now it's just set to pedestrian area gray. But depending, like there's some preset objects that people may draw. So you can change it, but I'm just leaving it on the default. It doesn't matter because I've already got the color set to use constant color. So the color I've set here overrides anything else. So if you guys want to take a try at that, just so you know how to do it, it's good to have, and it'll look good for your, again, like I said, your final project where you're going to put a roundabout over here at the S bend, right here. It'll look good because you're creating a new roundabout on this aerial, so it's good to fill in all your medians with the green and fill the center of your roundabout in green and things like that. It'll look nice. So just spend 5-10 minutes experimenting with that. If you have any questions on how to put the polygon or the circle into your network, let me know.